the ground level and the bridge. We had elements of water in World at War. We had no swimming. Now we have thrust jump swimming. So we look at that and we say, how can we kind of bring that up to Black Ops 3?
Sure.
So we've still got the classic bridge. You can clock in, go to work, fight the other side. But now with wall running, you know, you want to be clever. Maybe you've got some advanced movement. You can wall run along those sides of the bridge. May face a sniper, but you know, if you've got the moves, if you've got the skills to pay the bills, you may make it across. And then at the same time, you know, if you jump off the bridge in Banzai and World at War, probably going to die. Now we've got the thrust jump, we've got the water, so you're going to be able to bail out of the bridge on both sides, dive into the water, you can kind of flank around. Elements, the swimming, we love, the verticality of the bridge, and kind of married those two.
All right. Well, let's move on to Spire. All right. So this takes place in a suborbital airport terminal.
Yeah.
Suborbital.
Yes.
Just
Bunch of fancy
just like
words.
a sexy word.
It is. It's very
So
nice.
tell us about this sexy map.
So this map is very sexy looking in that it's a very, very clean and futuristic take. Lots of curves, lots of very interesting shapes and architecture.
Sure.
But the premise is that in the future, of course, they could build these huge spires, and they've built these airports off of these spires to get into suborbital and get around Earth, you know, in minutes, basically. So you're fighting on one of these terminals, basically, in this airport, and it's pretty awesome how it is. You know, you fight in a lot of clean areas, you're fighting through these terminals, and it feels like an airport, but it also feels very unique because there's a lot of core movement that we've done in it as well.
Well, in terms of that core movement and some of the engagements, what kind of engagements can we expect in Spire?
You know, we always try to cater to all gameplay styles in our maps. You know, we want everybody from the snipers to the guys running around with the baseball bat to be successful. With this one, it's interesting because you've got one side of the map where you're going to have these opposing overwatches, which are just obviously going to be great for sniper battles. Then you've got the other side where we've got some nice meaty cover for you to work up to. So shotguns, SMGs, baseball bats, those are going to work on that side. And then as far as the core movement goes, we kind of look back to Combine, which is a very popular Black Ops.
Sean, shut up.
Staple at this point. And we looked at that and we said,
Shut
okay, we did that outer wall run.
Why? I'm not even speaking.
To flank around.
No, you're breathing down your
How
mic.
do we
I'm trying to
make
watch
that
this.
more interesting? And in Spire, we kind of took that element and developed it more and turned that Combine's wall run into a destination. So you'll be able to kind of bell out through the middle or down the catwalks on the exterior of the map and set up shop at the refueling station. It's, that
There we go.
risk reward. We're going to have but if you are able to get in there and root the enemy out, you're going to be able to hold that down.
It's part of part of that is the challenge in pushing ourselves is taking that. Combine worked really well with how we integrated core movement. Like Matt said, is how do you +1 that? How do you make it better? And we're actively trying every single map to just figure out better ways and interesting ways. And it's really just a tool set, right? Hey, how we did that and how we did it in other maps is really interesting. How do we combine?
What the fuck? They need to sort out their connection, mate.
Combining a lot of very interesting concepts, future military complex over a volcano.
Yes, it's I don't want to say
realistic.
It's super realistic, yes. But it's got a good contrast to the pack, and we've never done a map, Black Ops just like this. It is very, very militaristic, industrial. There's girders everywhere. It's dirty. It's not a place you want to be, and it's sort of intimidating. You've got this volcano, this caldera that you're over, and the whole map is basically a suspended rail system where they are getting these minerals out and they are supplying the war effort by just actively pulling things out of the volcano and transporting them all around the world. But because of that locale, it's offered some interesting things that we can do with some of the core movement and overall map design.
Yep, I can speak to that. I assume that's what the hand gesture was. Yes, so this one is, we're really forcing the engagements on Rift. If you run forward, you will meet an enemy. It's not like some of the other maps where you're going to have kind of these exterior routes where you can engage your enemy. In this one, we've got what I've been referring to as kind of soft flanks.
Sure.
To where you're going to run into that enemy. But we give you these opportunities to be clever, and take the middle for example. The middle is going to be a very head-on battle.
Matthew,
But
I
at
wouldn't
the
push
same
you
time,
off.
we're trying
You're
something
kicking
new
it out.
with a wall run in the middle. That's going to allow you to kind of be clever, and if you've got the skill set, you can kind of pull one of those soft flanks and
Yes.
but it's very high risk.
Yeah, this map is very different. This one, the challenge was how do you get as head-on engagement as possible, where you run forward and the only way through is killing the enemy or finding some clever way to use the core movement mechanics, which is very different than the maps we shipped and even DLC 1. And we really accomplished that, where each of the lanes, you're going to hit a enemy and you have two options. You either kill him or figure out a clever way to use core movement to get around. So it's very different. It's got a really cool vibe and feel.
I love the look of this map. It's dark, gritty, and when you're playing, you almost feel the heat from the magma below.
Liquid hot magma.
That-
All right, last map, Knockout. This one, love this one. Miles, tell us a little bit about the setting.
So Knockout is a really fun map. On top of the gameplay stuff that is really unique is it looks like a traditional map, Asian-style Shaolin temple from the outset, and you got this tournament map that's got blood and teeth on it. But the twist to this map and the contrast is that it's actually
Yeah, I'll be
a
done.
privately owned island. So
Yeah.
a super rich dude, right, like yourself, John.
Well, this sounds like your personal one. I mean, I almost feel like you guys have like peered into my life.
We
so
did.
far.
All of our reference images were from your
Yeah,
private
okay,
island.
okay.
But it's basically this guy that has built this really authentic Shaolin temple because he's really into martial arts, and he hires people to come and fight for him on his tournament. But he also loves the 70s, and he loves old school kung fu.
Again, the parallels are amazing here.
So the interiors, there's one where it's a disco. The guy has his own personal disco with the floors light up, and he's got a disco ball. So you're outside and you're looking at this very traditional Asian urn, this dragon that's very intimidating, but then you can bust the move by going into the disco for a few minutes, slaying a few people, and then cut out to the rooftops where you can use some of the core movement.
Enter the Dragon Goes Disco.
Yeah. I can speak to the gameplay. Being,
Sure.
being a student of the martial arts myself, it's not true.
Only in your mind.
Yeah. I try. No, so this one is interesting because kind of one of the core concepts of the map is King of the Hill. So a lot of times we'll have these, say on Spire for example, we have these two opposing Overwatches. And in Knockout, we've got this central trophy room where you would keep your trophies, and that's the position you want to fight over. If you're able to secure that position, you're really going to have a lay of the land. You're going to be able to lock it down. You're going to have these exterior rear wall runs on the back side of this trophy room, and then we've got a nice balcony that kind of overwatches the center. I think back to a Black Ops 2 map, which is Slums. It's got kind of a Slums vibe with that big center courtyard. I love that. So with that courtyard, you kind of think back to the Blue Room of Slums. And Knockout, you're gonna be able to have that kind of raised platform in the trophy room and kind of see where everybody's going. And there may or may not be some gongs in this map. I don't know.
Yeah, this one again is constantly pushing, and it's all about you want to get to this destination. We do a good job across all the maps of having really good defendable locations that you want to get to, and this map has that, but the King of the Hill aspect is something we really went for. You want to get into that room, you want to get on the mat in the center, and you want to hold it down. That's where you want to be. So there's constant conflict always in there and holding it down, but it's very hard to do. So that's where the risk and reward comes. If you can and your team can hold it down, you're going to be successful.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts on anything multiplayer?
Closing thoughts.
I think I can speak for myself and the teams. I think we're extremely proud of this pack. I think we've continually elevated ourselves on the design and the visuals and are putting so much into each map that I think players are really responding to that from DLC 1 and the uniqueness we brought there is we're bringing that into DLC 2.
And I'll quickly mute this Mong. Goodbye. Sorry about that, guys.
Everybody was up late, and thanks to
right.
you too, 'cause I saw some pretty late night emails, so thank you very much. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
John?
All right, so that is multiplayer. Before we move on, few quick announcements. Not sure if you guys noticed, but yesterday we announced that this weekend we have a double weekend. Double XP, double Weapon XP goes live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific and runs through Monday morning 10 a.m. Pacific. So if you had any weekend plans, might need to do a little readjusting. But wait, there's more. So this weekend we are also running a free trial of DLC 1 Awakening for PS4 players. You will have the opportunity to jump into Gauntlet, Splash, Rise, the reimagined Skyjacked, as well as have access to Der Eisendrache. And lots of gameplay in store for you for DLC 1. Oh, yeah. And that, again, goes live for PS4 players tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, runs through Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific. But all that talk about Der Eisendrache, we're going to have a special guest at NoahJ456 who's going to jump into a little bit of Eisendrache gameplay in a bit. It's addictive. I just need to say it. But we're going to chat zombies a little bit with none other than Mr. Jason Blundell, director of Zombies. Jason, welcome.
Thank you, John. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Fantastic.
So, Jason,
Yes.
DLC 2 Eclipse has a new Zombies experience. Tell us, what are we giving to fans in DLC 2?
So DLC 2, we're going to the Island of Despair. That's the only sound I could think of to kind of convey the scariness and spookiness of this map. So it's Zetsubo no Shima. I'm doing that to mess with people so they have a hard time pronouncing it again. We started that with Der Eisendrache. Zetsubo no Shima, DLC 2. And it is...
Very mellifluous.
It's good use of vocabulary right there. It's being serious for a second.
Sorry.
It's probably one of the scariest maps we've done.
Really?
I can't be serious that one.
Okay.
It really, the atmosphere,
Mhm.
the feeling of it, the artistry really behind creating a map that is more fundamentally disturbing to people. Now, we've kind of gone there in Zombies in the past. Obviously, we're dealing with the undead. But listening to the fans, they were talking about, how do we get back to the roots, how back to maps which are unnerving by their pure physicality. And so that's what Zetsubo no Shima is really about. It's Division 9, a group that has been revealed recently in the storyline, but they go back to Shinonuma, which is all the way back into World at War.
Mhm.
And their experiments on this island, and our crew, our gang, are turning up there to find out what perversions of nature have taken place.
Well, you had me at hello. Well,
I just wanted to say perversions of nature.
I hear they opened up at Coachella,
Yeah.
or they will be.
That's going to be a meme now. Isn't it?
Pretty much. Pretty soon you're going to have a little interview time with Noah J456, but before we jump over with him,
Yes.
you brought a little something special today.
Did I?
You did.
What?
Yes,
Oh, yes, we did.
we did.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna mix it up a bit. Rather than do the gameplay trailer,
Yeah.
I brought a little special asset. I say bring, I mean we're in Treyarch, so it's here anyway. But we're going to show the intro cinematic to DLC 2.
Say it isn't so.
It is so.
All right. Well, with that, the premiere of Zetsubo no Shima IGC. Enjoy.
密航者どもをデッキへ上げろ。恥さらしめが日本を裏切り陛下にあだなすとは。Take it easy, Tack. どうやって手に入れたんだこの異物を。I'm sorry. I don't speak Japanese. 誰か答えられないのか The object in your hand? It's gonna bring you nothing but pain. Believe me, I know. ネズミどもを海に叩き落とせ I am an envoy of the Emperor himself. I am no traitor! one great price.
All right, so I'm joined here today with Jason Blundell, and the first question that the community has been just pouring out to me is that, are you, in fact, a sucker for Island DLC?
Always, 24/7 actually. I mean, sometimes when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about medieval castles.
Of course.
And I hope all the communication and conversation about this has conveyed that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that one. Okay, on to my first real question.
Yes.
So obviously everyone just saw the cutscene for the first time ever.
Yep.
This is the intro cinematic
Yep.
to the new map, and the part that struck me the most out of it is that all of our characters seem to have the same importance on the summoning key that Richthofen does, and that's something that is a huge change from the cutscene that we saw right here with Dempsey.
Sure.
Dempsey going down, or Dempsey 1.0 going down. The characters now see it as almost as an important artifact as Richthofen does.
Right.
They seem to be following him down this path again.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, can we expect to see more and more of this trust in Richthofen? And does that play into kind of a theme moving forward with not only DLC 2 but the rest of the DLCs?
I tell you, you guys give Richthofen a really hard time. I'm.
Not for unwarranted purposes.
Yeah, it's true, but people change, things change, But I think that natural suspicion in the community is what the gang's going through as well, the team's going through, right? He's been the harbinger of evil and doom for so long that I think, and death and destruction. That I think that although he's saying that he is on a path, and they're seeing that now with they had to do it with Dempsey, and we're going into DLC 2. I think they're also wary of him, right? Because the rug has been pulled out in the past. So, I think the summoning key's kind of importance and how they see it and an understanding of what they're trying to do is kind of coming in, and we're going to see more of that in the map. But the summoning key is an integral part.
So I was talking to you a bit about this earlier, but you actually mentioned something that I think the community has kind of taken for granted, and that is the name itself of the summoning key.
It's interesting, that, isn't it?
And I was wondering, what exactly would you count as being summoned so far in the series? Has there been anything? I was thinking, obviously we've had our 4 characters that that were kind of trapped in there throughout the events of Shadows of Evil, right?
Well, I mean, it's you finish Shadows of Evil, and you've obviously got the Shadow Man in there, and you've just got Dempsey in there. But yeah, I think I don't think we've explored the kind of mythical ramifications of its title.
And it's obviously something that ties into a little bit of the shirt you're wearing here, that it seems to have Apothicon background.
This thing.
So I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about what it is you're wearing, and
no.
Okay.
So we've done hints in the past talking about it. There was even kind of questions of, does this mean anything at all? It does, and I'm wearing it. Luckily, it's cropped off probably just before my gut starts. So,
very, very small text.
I need you then to kind of.
It's
there, right?
I was wondering if I could
stare at my body,
take
it's there, right?
pictures of it while I'm there.
It's all there, and it's on the back as well, but I'm not getting up because I'll fall out of frame and we'll get shouted at by technical people.
So it's interesting that if you guys haven't seen the pictures, on his back he actually has the Apothicon language. On the front he has the Keeper language, which the Keeper language isn't something that we've necessarily dove too far into.
Sure.
And it's kind of been focused all on the Apothicon language, the Apothicon translations, and that's something that started and was kind of mainly based in Shadows of Evil. So I was wondering, I was wondering, what is the significance of Shadows of Evil? Because it's very similar to Mob of the Dead in the fact that a lot of people consider it a novelty, kind of separate type thing. Apparently there's a Panzer here, so.
By the way, he's been working on this for the last hour playing this gameplay.
We've been getting up to this point just to show off a little bit.
I've just been sitting here mocking him.
Right.
Really important question you asked. So it's been going back earlier than that, right? It's Origins, go back to Origins.
But see the symbols on the chest.
Yeah, but let me say another kind of comment, which is there's no such thing as a one-off map. So and hopefully through Der Eisendrache and through Zetsubo no Shima, the community and followers of the storyline might start to see that everything is connected. We're all connected. That's one
Right,
key
right.
thing, I suppose. But yeah, there is no such thing as a one-off map. And certain maps are absolutely integral to the story that's being laid out
Right.
and getting us all the way ready to DLC 4 as well.
So speaking of how these maps are connected, and something that you may not focus on too much on the first time seeing the cutscene, but after seeing it for the second time,
Sure.
it's interesting that our characters seemingly have just appeared on this new location, right? That we started out, we just finished this map. Richtofen kind of states at the end that he knows where we're going.
Yep.
So since what point were they going to the boat, and how exactly did they get there? And
Yeah.
is that an important question, or is that just...
I used to have an art teacher who used to say that the gaps between the artwork are just as important as the detail. And I think that applies in terms of how our maps work.
Right.
There is blocks of time which the community don't see, and that's important to set up certain themes.
Right.
And those blocks may or may not be answered in other techniques
Right,
as they
right.
go along in the maps. But yes, where we choose to start an experience and where we choose to end an experience is integral. And even when you end as well, sometimes people look and say, okay, there's the main. It always is. Sometimes there's other things to look for past that experience.
So you might say scraps of paper around the map.
It can sometimes go more overt than that.
There's just maybe some themes, because I was talking about this a little bit earlier, and you kind of gave me a obviously very cryptic answer here.
Sure.
But one thing that I noticed in this map in particular, in Der Eisen, which I'm not even going to try the last part of that.
Yeah, it's okay, man.
And something that people kind of like took as kind of an aesthetic aspect. It looks cool, but things like this right here,
Yeah.
where we see, if you guys don't notice, that is the same exact truck that appears in Shadows of Evil, and a lot of this stuff actually appears like this around the map. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts maybe on the bleeding of universes that we seem to be getting here.
I have lots of thoughts about that.
Would you care to share any?
Yeah, so we're talking about multiverses,
Right.
And we're talking about the fracturing of time, and there's a lot of things that at first glance may seem like game conventions or game conceits, which we spent a long time working into our narrative, and actually the narrative then informing those conceits as well. It works
Right.
the opposite way around
Right.
as well. But definitely with the split universe, multiverses, a gang traveling around, use of teleporters and so forth,
Right.
all these kind of aspects are shaping the maps and shaping the world. You can't really think of it as in a single kind of contiguous way. And
Right.
that's part of half the complication. So what we'll have is kind of sometimes very simple ideas, but then a radical kind of complexity. But once you kind of get those simple premises, lots of things then kind of spell themselves out.
So will we be getting a few things spelled out in DLC 2?
Absolutely. I mean, so our goal will be, to keep on presenting. Now, like a magician, right? We want to put the things in front of you, and so you're looking at that nice sparkly thing.
Right.
Well, we're hiding the rabbit up our bum in the background. So that's the that's the trick. So
Right.
we're kind of putting things in front of the players, putting in front, so they kind of focus on and talk about it, and they're integral. But also, you might not be looking just past that object to
Right.
see the other glaringly obvious thing.
So what we know so far, we got a little kind of intro into the map, and it seems to me at least that Takio is going to be kind of the focus of this map. Obviously, for the last one, we had Dempsey
Yep.
kind of taking place, and that was his kind of quest here. So
Yep.
I was wondering, what kind of themes is Takio going to bring in when he faces his 1.0 version?
What a great question. That's not going to get answered.
The
in
one
this
that
session.
will not be answered. Of course.
I would. One thing that we're continuously doing with this DLC season is, and has been building upon great foundations of the past, is adding more dimension to our characters.
Right.
What started off being quite two-dimensional in a way, more stereotypical of the nation
Yeah.
and so forth, exploring the emotion, exploring the connection between those characters, and then, you've got characters in this kind of fantastical world with this fantastical set of events happening.
Right.
How do they come to terms with it? And some of these things which are like, this is key to that character, how do you challenge that? How do you look at it? And how does the rest of the team respond to that?
Right.
Because there are they unwittingly all came together. So it's a growth of friendship and trust and mistrust. All that stuff is kind of playing on. Also on top of each person having to confront very taxing or trying things based in their own personality.
Like, killing another dimensional
Yeah.
version of yourself.
Might
Might be a little stress in the head there.
Like Dempsey, he's kind of, brash and over the top and, shouting the American thing and let's go. And ultimately had to switch off the life support machine on himself.
Yeah.
A very moving, emotional moment.
I just got chills thinking about that cutscene again.
And I think that's the kind of, I talk about the dimensions, that's what we're going
Right.
for. Like each character has to almost kind of confront the things which define them, right? And that, I think that's a statement about life as well.
Right. That's extremely deep.
but it's live stream.
Such is the world of zombies.
Yeah.
So, talking about DLC 2 a little bit.
Yep.
What is your, just personally, and this you can throw in as many details about DLC 2 or choose not to,
Sure, I will, yeah.
as possible. What are your kind of favorite parts about starting a map, and like on the process from the map start to finish, what is your absolute favorite thing to do? So
That's a
in
really
the design process, just in general.
It's a really tough question because being in the games industry and being at Treyarch, no 2 days are the same. You come into work one day, you come in the next day, something completely different. I'm going to say that the most enjoyable thing is just being surrounded by such creative and talented people who are solving the problems, right? I'm sat here being the mouthpiece of it, but there's hundreds of guys who are working very hard, and are all experts in their field. And because we've been together so long, there's even conversations they don't need to have because it's just inherent knowledge of each other and how to work. And so I just love watching this kind of pouring of creativity, and that extends through all the disciplines, right? So you've got your programmers, you've got your artists, you've got your animators, you've got
There's
your
a lot
sound
of work.
engineers, you've got product.
A lot of work.
The list goes on. And seeing them tackling challenging problems, not only completing them, but then going further. There's so much kind of love and passion the team kind of plows in. I just love watching them do it, and then when you see at the end, the pride that they have in that creation is phenomenal.
When that final product is put out there to the world.
Yeah.
And I know the community is very excited. And another question I had is, how much do you as developers look at community feedback and read up on what people are saying and take that into account whenever you're
our team
designing?
Absolutely very, very active, obviously, and as you know from this conversation before we started, I'm technologically illiterate in terms of my abilities to have any knowledge of social media. But they take it very kind of passionate, and that comes through in design. Always down.
Yeah. Cut the cameras, cut them.
Can we go again? Is this live? So that's really important because they then bring those concerns through.
Right.
But I think it's also important as well. Let's imagine I did know what the hell I was doing with a computer.
Right.
I think it's also important to not be too connected, because if you're too connected, then you're just following the narrative too closely with the community. So I think it's good that there's a lever of filter and there's a separation, but we also have large groups of our team who intently watch that stuff and then feed that into their design meetings and feed that into their direction. And then on top of that, obviously, we then have a rigorous kind of back-end QA support who's listening very intently to problems and bugs, because there's no piece of software that's ever been created that doesn't have bugs. So how do we find these ones quickly enough, and then how do we fix them and kind of guarantee a quality of product?
And you were saying that also is in big help due to the community and the support that the community gives.
Even if I have a 200-man QA team, that's not enough for the community when they play it, right? So
a couple million QA team right there.
Yeah. So we go after that very vigorously and very very seriously.
So speaking a little bit on the design process, and more specifically, kind of the maps. When you're designing Easter eggs, as I'm failing to do to accomplish right now.
Thank you. It's okay.
I'm playing without sound.
No
pressure.
It's a
big issue.
He's saying that. He's making excuses now.
So whenever you go into actually designing an Easter egg, what is your target length of an Easter egg? What kind of challenges do you want to put in the actual design process when you're talking about it for the very first time?
It's a big question. So it's thought about in multiple strata. So we think about Easter egg components which are easier for people to get to. So there's like, hey, I'm a zombies guy, I can just about hold my own. there should be certain ones where you can get this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's what people talk about as the main Easter egg.
Right.
And then the complexity of that is based on what map came before, what the properties of the map are, because the geo and the kind of atmosphere and attitude, so for DLC 2 we're talking about it's creepy, it's scary, it's
Right.
disturbing, it's this kind of nature being warped kind of idea. That lends itself to the type of Easter egg you then do, right? And then you then wonder, well, how many steps am I going to do? And once again, that's a kind of balance on, okay, are we wanting it to be long and laborious? Are we wanting it to be branched so that you can get to this point and then there's multiple options?
Right.
Or it's a single path all the way through? And then that comes down to personal taste and flavor a little bit. But then also, okay, how do we make sure that there's cool moments along the path as well? So
You get rewarded as you go
yeah,
along.
so it's not always, we don't sit down and say, oh, here's the 1 day Easter egg
Right.
or the 2 day Easter egg, because I would be famously wrong if I said that comment, because you guys are just phenomenal at doing this stuff. So what we try and do is kind of think of it in terms of what kind of experience do we want.
Right.
We were talking earlier about, okay, Dreisendrach, when you get to your main kind of boss fight, we knew the electricity was going to kill everyone on the first time.
Right.
But we were like, okay.
Which I experienced firsthand.
We're like, yeah, exactly. And it was like, excellent, that's going to be the moment. It's going to be the tease, because then everyone has to reset and then talk about it,
Right,
and then
right.
get to it again. And it's once you know it, you can you can sidestep. But that was a very conscious choice to say, okay, they've got this far, let's tease them and show the visual, and then they're going to have to move away
Right,
and then think
right.
about it again. So we'll take those things into account rather than how many days.
That makes sense. So speaking of just this map in particular, just something that I've kind of mentioned before and I wanted to quickly ask you about is what this little guy's doing up here. I was wondering if you...
It looks like he's eating seeds.
And the fact that you can just quickly,
Yeah. Well, that's not very nice on wildlife there. No.
it's not. But then again, we're going to have to...
I can't condone that.
You can't condone that.
No.
So what you're saying is we should not, for whatever reason, shoot the bird. There's no reason that you might possibly at some point want to shoot the bird.
That. I just said, that's a bit mean, that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So kind of speaking on what we're doing in game here,
Yes.
again, so the boss fight mechanic.
Yes.
It started in Shadows of Evil.
Okay.
And obviously the Giant was kind of bringing back the entire Duries field. So it started in Shadows of Evil. And kind of the first boss fight that we experienced was in the same room with the going, and that kind of system for
Boss, it's like
Yeah.
a whole map that you're fighting on the boss.
Right.
You should do that.
Oh.
Yeah, we really like that idea and that mechanic. It's it's, as you say, it's new and we're kind of playing with it.
Right.
Again, it's really about what kind of suits and fits a map. It's going to sound really arty when we say this, but you're trying to control an emotional journey.
Right.
And a boss fight and the boss mechanics are about it's a way to punctuate a journey.
Right.
Emotionally.
It's that final moment.
Yeah, and then sometimes it can be the setup, right? I want you to feel stressed, and then I want you to then relax and keep on going, and then I want to give you something else, right? So,
Right.
We're fans of it. We enjoy it, and if it has a place there, then we'd put it in.
Right. Interesting. All right. So myself, I don't know if I want to try this again without sound. We were kind of playing beforehand, and I was trying to get the plunger
You're trying to get the plunger, yeah?
without sound and without hearing. We're going to try this one more time, and then we're going to go into the boss fight itself. But I just wanted to ask, in terms of DLC 2,
Yeah.
what kind of themes, and I know it's going to be a very spooky map that a lot of people have been asking for a long time, and I'm going to not even get a chance. All right, we're going to the boss fight. What kind of themes and ideas can we kind of expect within our characters and the development between our characters?
Well, I mean, they've all gone through the experience of Dreisendrach, right?
Right.
So they're all now seeing the beginnings of Richtoven's plan, understanding a certain kind of consequence of stuff. But I think you've also got to kind of come to terms with like we were talking about before, right? The emotional journey of
Right.
what you're actually doing, right? There's doing the thing that you're supposed to do, and then there's the emotional journey of, yes, but I'm doing this thing.
Yeah. You're still having to go through what the right thing is to do.
Yeah, Richtoven's always been like, his intellect has almost prevented his humanity at times.
Right.
And I think, hopefully, if you guys guys believe in him.
Mhm.
If you can just reach out your
Right.
hearts to help him.
Which has worked out so well in the past
He
for
is,
us.
he is trying to put his humanity in front of his intellect. You know, this is the right thing to do.
Right.
If only you guys would give him a chance. So
We will debate very very much on whether or not we will. But
come on, people, give him a chance.
So another question. I can grab these in just a second after I
Doing well. It's talking, playing.
talking, playing, the whole shebang comes with the job description. So while I'm doing this part right here, I had a couple of community questions that I wanted to ask.
I'll get one as well.
One of which is
Is this the answers? No.
you have those. I'm waiting on you for those.
Okay.
Is one question from Omar was asking, what are the Mob of the Dead vials doing on Richthofen? What is his deal with the files there?
Can I stare longingly into the camera at this moment?
Zoom. Hello from the other side.
Next question.
Next question. Okay, we have another one.
Yep.
If I don't go down here.
Good question, though.
That asked, will we be? Ryan loved the throwback that we got with Dr. Groff, and he was wondering if there would be anything else kind of similar to that we might possibly be getting in some of the future DLCs.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to my previous statement, which is there's no such thing as a one-off map.
Mhm. Okay.
Quite a lot of it.
Very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. And then we have amongst zombies that there would be an Easter egg included that none of us will find. It's not going to be solvable.
Yep.
You don't have any faith in us for
Yeah.
that aspect.
Yeah.
Has that Easter egg been found?
It has not.
It has not. So there's still something in Shadows of Evil in which
It would be too simple for me to say it's in Shadows of Evil, but I would say there is an Easter egg
There
that
is
has not been found. There's actually, there's lots. Right, we've
Right,
already
right,
said that
right.
statement before, but the one
there's a significant one.
the one I was specifically talking about has not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead and get through the final
You're
stage
doing
here.
well. You're doing well.
I'm really trying.
You're
This
doing
will be
good.
so embarrassing
This
if I manage to go down here.
This is fantastic. I don't
Okay.
know why I doubted you. I doubted you before.
Right.
I doubted you before this.
All right, I think
Oh,
we might have got it, possibly.
You get it?
And then I had another question here. Kind of lost my train of thought a little bit. Well, we're fine. We've done this in no perks before. So another question that you may or may not be able to respond to is, are you a fan of spiders?
I love spiders.
Seemingly maybe of the zombies variety.
I love spiders. I love all of the creatures from Mother
Right.
Nature. Yeah.
And could we expect to see in DLC 2 kind of some of these themes and aspects coming in from?
I think what we're going to see is what happens when bad people play with the fundamentals of nature.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And those might come in the form of maybe not only arachnids, possibly, but kind of the form of zombie varieties that we... Will there be anything that we haven't seen before of the zombie variety?
I guarantee it.
Guarantee it. Can you speak any more on what that guarantee might bring?
That'd be too easy.
It's true.
I thought we agreed, though. You know all the information, so everyone can just hit you up.
Right.
on the stream,
Yeah,
right?
you guys just
I've given you
tweet me.
everything.
I'll
I've
give you
given
guys
He's got everything.
DLCs 1 through 4. Easy.
I don't know why you're asking me these questions. You know the answers. I'm
Of
just getting
course,
you
of
on
course,
the
of
internet.
course. Yeah,
That's
right.
it. Yeah. Okay.
And another question that was asked a lot was the keepers are very, very much like involved in these maps.
Yes.
And personally, I feel like it's another thing that people have kind of taken for granted, if you will.
Sure.
Is that, okay, these keepers exist, they're here.
Whoop.
We're doing it no perks.
Whoop.
If the keepers are here, right?
Yep, right.
And whatever reason they are here for is yet to be shown. Can we expect to see them kind of a reoccurring theme throughout the DLC season?
I think that's the thing about keepers, right? You never know.
You never know what they might do.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy keeper guys.
And not only that is the fact that in Origins we got through scraps of paper a picture of our characters, not only with the caption Primus, which is a very interesting term in itself, and we also received this picture of them garbed in keeper clothing.
Okay.
Which I was wondering if you could speak any on that. And this is foreshadowing for what he's about to say.
That's very good, yeah. I was just pausing there. I was thinking, it's just really weird how time and space works, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I was going to say something, but then you went down, and I was like, it doesn't feel right for me to talk about that kind of topic
of course.
without active
So,
gameplay. Yeah.
here's one that doesn't have to do with this map.
Sure.
The number one question I was asked is,
Yes.
is the Shadows of Evil Wonder Weapon upgradable?
Okay, let me be definite and cryptic at the same time.
As expected.
Yeah. It is not possible to upgrade the Apothicon Servant in Shadows of Evil.
I'm going to go take a lap around the office real quick. We're going to go ahead and send it back to John. This has been great. Thank you again for your answers and your cryptic responses. And that's about all we have for our time. So we're going to send it back over to John. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And Noah, thank you for coming into the studio today. It was nice to have you along for the ride. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone on YouTube and in the in-game live event viewer on PS4. Thanks to Miles and Matt and Jason for coming along today. Thanks to the entire crew. We had a small army behind the camera making things happen today, without whom none of this would be possible. Anyway. Follow us at Treyarch on Twitter. And to follow along with the conversation and keep up with everything regarding Black Ops 3 Eclipse out on PS4 on April 19th, stay tuned, and we'll come back to you for more live from the Treyarch. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Well, I thought that was pretty sick. Hilma Manny, I will show you the trailer. I will send it to you over. If you just drop your PSN, or if you message me over PSN, I will drop you the trailer. But that is all I've got. Thought I would just show you like that, as we've been asking what it's about. So yeah, that's it. Peace.